What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray, and sports animes can be a lot of fun. So we're going back to basics and breaking down the different genres in animes, starting with sports. There's a lot to love in this genre, and I wanted to give you a guide map on the things to expect when you start this journey. Starting with how they operate in regards to some of you who may not be interested in sports. They may do this by focusing on things like dribbling or explaining to you what that is, how far you can go, what out of bounds is, and things of that nature that you might not have heard if you're not as in tune with sports as a sports fanatic. The other thing that they do is they give you the internal monologue in a way that kind of expounds what every person on the field is thinking, thus giving you more insight on the different positions, on the different placements, on the different play styles that come into all of these different sports. It helps a lot with keeping you entertained and keeping you engaged, so that way you don't lose interest with something that for most people can get monotonous. The other thing that all sports anime do to keep you entertained is they exaggerate a lot of simple actions, so that way there's always action and tension going on screen, so you don't lose interest and that you're always excited for the next 30 seconds or the next quarter or next minute of a game. They do this to keep what I like to call fourth quarter tension. In a lot of big sporting events, the most exciting time is the last 2 to 3 minutes, and anime capitalizes on that by making every part of the game feel like that last 2 minutes. Feel like you've been defeated, or feel like there's something that's going on that in the first 2 minutes is going to shape the entire game. It's one of the most amazing things about these types of anime is it just is built to keep you engaged. To summarize the basics, remember these things. The sport will be explained to you. They're gonna keep you engaged, and they're gonna make sure that even if you're not a fan of this sport, you're at least gonna be a fan of the characters and the action that's in place. Now we get into the tropes of sports anime. The things that you're gonna see in majority of the animes, but is what allows them to be different and speak to you no matter what sport you're watching. The trope that most sports animes are going to go with is a tournament arc of some kind. Whether it's spring, winter, fall, or summer, there's going to most likely be a tournament that our protagonists have to go through, our protagonist has to go through if it's a solo sport, or something that is going to introduce a lot more characters, different schools, and different avenues for the player to get better. This trope is used in conjunction with graduating seniors. In most sports anime, it's going to be between middle school and high school. The reason for this is because, well, professional sports is not the same in other countries. It's not that they don't have professional leagues, but you're not essentially going to high school to get drafted here or to get drafted there in most cases. How all of this plays into graduating seniors is it now gives them a very limited amount of time to play with our main character, who is most times a freshman, a sophomore, or has another year of playing still yet to go. Because of these things together, everything is high stakes because this is their only opportunity, whereas they may go off to try a company job or go to university to study something else that is not the same as American cultures, where you can have another level after college. A third trope is that some sports animes are very artistic in their presentation. For example, in Dance Dance Danseur, while it's about ballet, it's also a tale of ballet. It's also Shakespearean in its presentation to give you a different layer, to get you a different feeling while tackling different kinds of social norms. It invites a bit of slice of life, which is another genre we'll cover on another video. It allows for the sports to feel real to you as a person, to feel emotional, to feel like there's something more to be gained here than the action. While being beautifully designed with 3D animations and other things to emphasize the different movements that are critically important, artistic style of sports animes are a genre unto themselves because they have to show not only the movement, But the beauty in watching those movements all come together. Take a Yuri on Ice, for example. The last of the tropes that I'm gonna mention today in this first video is gonna be about, well, the training montage or training camp. What this does is it allows our protagonist to gain a lot in a short amount of time, given the already high stakes value of either their first tournament, their first loss, or the big tournament where the graduating seniors only have one more game. The training camp arcs always focus on team-oriented things, and then it breaks those teams off to what they individually need to succeed. Whether it's a new technique, something that you will hold on to the same way that you would in shonen type animes. An honorable mention of a couple tropes that I do want to place in here that are not always used, but you're gonna find them more often than not, and that'll be the injury and the prodigy tropes. The injury trope is normally introduced in a senior or a friend of our protagonist, whoever they may be. How it's executed is almost like this is definitely their last run and they're kind of endangering themselves every time that they go out to play this sport. It's something they use to either show again how much this time matters and how much has to be done in terms of playing at all. The prodigy trope, in unison with this, is also used to give a lot more character depth, where they take a prodigy who is amazing at the sport and put them in different situations where they have to chase perfectionism. In chasing perfectionism, they are most times socially awkward and don't know how to engage with people. They're the despicable rival that we hate because they're just good, and our person who has talent is an instinctual but still has to learn the game, has to overcome this person that is so well polished or believes themselves to be so well polished that they are the perfect player in any situation. Now, there are a million more combinations of genres that can come into play with sports animes, but I wanted to give you a couple of my favorite in that regard that I've experienced that I think I see more often than the rest. So before you jump into this wide variety that is known as sports anime, I hope that I've given you a couple things to consider on your journey. If you'd like to take a look at a sports anime a little bit more in depth, you can check out my video here on Run with the Wind and how the characters involved in this story are just amazing. Quick editor's note, I wanted to give you guys 3 sports animes that you're gonna want to watch later. Number 1 being Haikyuu, number 2 being Dance Dance Their Sword, and number 3 being Megalobox. There are 3 different varieties that you're gonna. There are 3 different varieties there that you're gonna really enjoy. Check those out in conjunction with this video.
Now back to the video.
Now back to the video. Until the next time, peace.